Hi everyone, I hope you're good guys and welcome to a new video. So today I'm gonna share with you my experience with the Subsequent 37 and I'm gonna talk to you about the things I like about this synth, the things I don't like, the things I've overlooked as well and didn't really pay attention in the first place. I will also share with you my experience after a year and why I think this synth is not for everyone. Yeah, let's get started. So first things I love about this synth is just it looks gorgeous and it's even better in real life than what you can see on the video or in picture. It feels really good as well, everything. And I know this is something like you might don't care, but for me it's always super important because if I have something looking beautiful, it's making me want to play it more. Second thing that I love, and is mainly the main reason why I bought it, is the sound. So what you can hear is the init patch. I just had a bit of delay and reverb, but you can see already just the default patch how it sounds good already. And you know, I know there is this stuff about Moog sound and I have to quite agree that you get this Moog sound, and I agree that in the context of a mix, obviously it's really hard to really say, okay, this comes from this synth, and I made a video where I compare with Vst Emulation and where it's quite hard to really differentiate each synth. But one thing I can tell you is, like, when you play with it on its own, the sound somehow make it very inspiring. I don't know, it's just the way it sounds. It's just like, one thing I love is how smooth the filter is and how it's open and closed. It's very musical, it's very nice, and that's really inspired me way much more than any other synth basically. Now when I say inspiring, it doesn't mean that everything you're gonna create is good, but at least it will inspire you. And I've talked about the oscillator. I really love how they sound. It's analog synthesizer, but they kind of sound super modern, and this is really great because you don't get this vintage sound, you get more like a kind of new, modern, clean, pure sound. And one thing that even happened to me, it's basically you have two oscillator and a sub oscillator, and I was always like trying to use at least two oscillator, but until one day I found out that by using, for example, here you just hear just oscillator one, and the one oscillator by itself sounds so good that I was like, okay, I don't want to add anything. And even if I was adding a second oscillator, obviously you're gonna get a little bit of detune and phase because you see it's obviously not perfectly synchronized. Having just one oscillator, it sounds so pure and so good, and I really love how this synth sound with just one oscillator. And I was kind of feeling ashamed because, you know, you have a very nice synth with very great sounding that you pay quite a lot, and then on the end you just use one oscillator and you kind of feel lame and you can feel kind of guilty by just using one. But this is something that, yeah, I was kind of ashamed, but after it took me a while to say, okay, you know what, I don't care, I'm just gonna use one oscillator. Even if it's a simple thing, it just sounds so good. That's one thing I want to say, like, don't be ashamed to just use one oscillator. If it sounds good, it sounds good. Other thing I like is how snappy the envelope are. It's really crazy. You can already hear they are very sharp. And it's very nice for plucky sound, for example. Other things I like, it's the glide basically. And if you activate, and this is something I've made in the video where I compare with the subset with the wavetable and the Diva plugin. This is something really stand out, is like how good the glide is on this synth. It's just sounding really better than any other glide. Maybe that's been influenced by the fact that Stefan Bodzin used this synth with the glide in a beautiful way that my opinion is kind of influenced. But yeah, and you have different modes which are kind of subtle, but I would really recommend to try to really play with to see which are the differences. It's kind of hard to explain by words. You really need to experiment because this is something I overlook, and I will come back to later on in the video to other things I overlook. But yeah, this is definitely something that you must pay attention a bit more carefully. But yeah, I really love this glide. And finally, two things I really like and I love, and that's why as well I was super interested in. It's because even though it's analog, it's digitally controlled, which means that you can save preset, and you have as well a VST editor that you can, which is basically a plugin that you can straight away integrate into your DAW, like for Ableton for me with Ableton, and you can easily have all of your automation. You can have the view basically of all of your automation on your session, and you can have different presets from different projects, recall. I mean, this is just like a super nice feature to have, and there is still not enough today synthesizer, hardware synthesizer which have that. So yeah, that's one great thing I like. All right, now let's talk about things that I don't like to kind of counterbalance a little bit. First thing, I say it looks beautiful, but it's too big. Like if you, I don't know if you can really see, but like the size of it is quite impressive, and the footprint is too much. It takes too much space. If you don't have that much space home, it might be a problem. One thing which annoy me is the mod wheel. Basically, you can only control, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, but you can only control the modulation amount. So basically, it can be the pitch, the filter, or any other parameter you can have there. But what I would like, for example, is being able to control the LFO rate with this modulation wheel. You know, in this way, I could like change. Here I could change this LFO rate by using just the mod wheel. You can only control the intensity of the LFO modulating the pitch. And speaking of pitch, I found the pitch amount here is if you want a very gentle pitch modulation, or if you want, like if you use an envelope to modulate, I found it like it's not very sensitive. Like if you want something subtle, you have to be very careful to stay very close to zero, and it's not really precise. It's a bit annoying. I would have liked having like a bit more precise, let's say, control until there, and then after obviously you can go nuts. But you see, if you want something subtle, you have to really stay very close to zero, and it's not the best fine tuning. And finally, one thing which annoys me is the noise. Basically, they put a pink noise, which is kind of a darker noise, which kind of makes sense in the way that this is more like kind of a bass synthesizer, let's say. So for bass sound, it's not that much of a problem, but if you want like some lead or some keys, and you want to have a little bit of this noise when you play high notes, and usually you will use a white noise, which is a bit more brighter than a pink noise. And so for example, for some lead and some key, when you play loud, it's kind of making you sound a bit dark and muffled. And if you had the choice at least to maybe choose between white and pink, it would have been better, because you could have like a brighter noise with some keys, and it would have sound nicer. All right, so let me reset this. So now a few things I've kind of overlooked. Like, I knew it, I've read the manual, but I didn't really pay attention. And the first things, it was about the mixer. So here what's happening with the mixer, when you go over 5, basically it's kind of adding some overdrive to your oscillator. And I was like, by reflex, you will always usually put the level, like let's say around 2 or 3, but there is very few chance that when you set up your volume oscillator, you will stay like around 2 or 3. Chance that you're gonna go more like over 12 o'clock at least. And the thing what is happening, it's, like I said, generating some extra drive, which can be great because you think like, oh, extra harmonics, so bigger sound and nicer. But sometimes if you really want something pure, and you have to kind of stay under this 5 value, and that's something that is still kind of hard sometimes for me, because I have the reflex to crank up straight away like this. But like sometimes you really wanna stay like this. So that's the first things I would recommend, to don't always use the drive, stay like gentle. Sometimes it might sound actually better. Other things I've overlooked is the modulation. So it's quite very interesting modulation you got. And the thing is, basically you can have as a modulation source anything, and you can modulate basically anything. And this is something that I kind of knew but overlook. And for example, when your modulation source is on here, you can basically use the filter envelope to modulate, but you can actually use anything. Like for example, if you want to use the amplitude envelope, you can totally, and you can click on controller and you can go in the menu and mode 1 edit. I'm not going to go into it, and you can change the modulation source. And it's really great because you can, as a destination, so you have the pitch, the filter, and you have an extra one here where you can choose between, for example, the oscillator waveform. But you can actually here as well modulate as destination anything, and you just need to hold the button and, for example, choose the resonance. And so this way now you could, for example, use the amplitude envelope modulating the resonance. So that's the first thing. That's the thing that I overlooked at the beginning, and it's quite a powerful feature. Second thing I overlook is the multi-trigger. Basically, when you play, let me set up what's happening when I play. You can see if I don't play legato, the filter envelope retrig all the time. You can see like this is without filter envelope. With the filter envelope, I have kind of a plucky sound. And the thing is, if I play legato, you can hear my envelope doesn't retrigger all the time. So I don't have this plucky sound at the beginning of the note. Like, see if I don't play legato, every note I have this plucky at the beginning of the sound. If I play legato, no. And if you want to play legato and still have this plucky envelope, you just play multi-trigger. So this way you can play legato and still have your envelope retriggering and modulating your filter. Other thing which is cool with the envelope, you can press sync and having kind of like a LFO. And you can change the clock division inside the menu as well. But that's something as well I didn't use much at the beginning, but it's really cool. Now, one thing which is pretty cool is the duo mode, especially if you do like kind of progressive halves or melodic techno. This is something I don't especially use in my own production, but when I was creating my Vst 37 Techno Bank presets, I kind of start to use it more, and it's actually pretty sounding good. So I'm not going to play it because I'm a bad player, but here is, for example, a preset I've made with some MIDI note. And it works super well as well with arpeggiator. Here's another one. So you have the oscillator 1 making the melody, and the oscillator 2 kind of making the bass. And it can work well as well to create some kind of more pads where you can play like a 2-note chord. And yeah, it's really, really sounding great. And that's definitely something I want to try to incorporate more in my track as well, now that I've played with. So all of the sound and the MIDI you heard, it's from my Moog Subsequent 37 Techno Bank, which will be out in a month or so. So depending when you watch the video, it might be already available. I will put the link in the description when it's available. It's kind of perfect if you are into progressive house or melodic techno. But yeah, let's go back to our init patch. And one thing I like as well is the invert mode into the arpeggiator. So when you can pitch up. And basically what it will do is, if you play this chord, it will play first this chord at this pitch, and then after that the same chord an octave upper. So it will play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if you play invert, it's gonna play the chord this way. First the root of your chord at your original octave, and then 1 octave upper. Then the second note of your chord, then the same second note 1 octave upper, and then the third note of your chord, and the same at an octave upper. In invert mode, it play like this, rather than if you don't put invert, it play like this. And that's really great because it's it kind of it kind of had a different feeling, and yeah, very great, nice feature that I've overlooked as well. And another thing, like I've talked about it, is the glide, how the 3 different modes sound. Really something I recommend to play with. Next thing I wanted to talk about, it's how it compared to other VST board. For example, you know, in the video where I compare, I said that, especially in the context of a track, it sounds really close to any VST or even Ableton wavetable. So why would you invest in this, and why would you buy this rather than another? Or why just maybe don't buy like a Model D clone or having a VST emulation? And the thing is, most of the clone and emulation, they are based on the Model D, which is kind of sound vintage, and I would say this one sound way much more modern. So they kind of sound different, and the feature as well is sounding different. It's not exactly the same. I found the one on the Sub 37 a bit more darker and smooth than on the Model G or any emulation. So, like I said before, it's true that in the context of a track, it's really hard to hear the difference and so on. But when you play with it on its own, and when you're looking for idea, I always found it, for somehow reason, I don't know, maybe I'm influenced because there is the Moog logo on the center, I don't know. But I found it way much more inspirational. Like, I don't know, it just feels nicer to play. I feel like more inspired when I play with. Again, when I say that, it doesn't mean that the inspiration I come with is gonna be a good track all the time. It can be crap, but at least I'm having fun, and it's really a pleasure like to play with it. Now, that being said, I think it's not for everyone, and the reason why is I personally think as well it's not for me. So now that can sound weird what I just say, but the reality is that's why as well I haven't really made a review before. It's because I got this scent, finally, was kind of a dream scent, and I was super happy. I started to play with it. It was sounding amazing, like I said, for all of the reasons. It looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful, it's super inspiring. But then every time I was trying to integrate it into one of my tracks, it was impossible. It was like the sound on the scent sounds super. My track was sounding good, but then both together, impossible to make them match, impossible to make them fit. There was always something about this sound that didn't fit my style, didn't fit like the track. And I realized that I think the reason why it's because it's sounding super modern, super clean, super pure. And for my track, I'm more after something a bit more tough, raw, and not that smooth. And basically when I was using it, it was kind of making my track going in a different direction that I wanted. And so now you can think like, okay, that's because you're bad at sound design, you don't know how to use it. Well, maybe, but I talk with other people, we are thinking the same, like they really like how it sounds, but then they kind of struggle to integrate in their own track. And to compare, I have the Moog 32, and the Moog 32, I found it so easy to integrate into a track of mine. So it was really frustrating because you have probably the best sounding synth out there, but then you cannot use it in your own production. And with time, I finally managed to kind of integrate it, but I'm still not 100% happy. And if I'm being completely honest with you, if I wasn't making sample pack or preset bank, or if I didn't have the YouTube channel, I would have probably said it, because especially when you have a tight budget and you cannot like afford to have expensive gear, I would have said it, because even though I think it's great, even I love to play, honestly, it's really nice to play, it's always a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, if I cannot integrate it in my track, it's kind of useless. And it feels very frustrating because you have something such nice and which sounds so good, but you just cannot make it fit your track. And I think you just have to say, okay, that's not for me, and I'm just gonna sell it and move on. And that's why I think it's not for everyone. I think if you make progressive house, melodic techno, obviously it's no-brainer. I would even recommend to sell your car and buy it, and maybe buy a cheaper car. I mean, like, do all what you can to buy it. Keep in mind that it's not gonna make you music production better, because it's not about the scent, it's about how you use it. But I think for this kind of music, it's very inspiring and very good. And I think if you do more raw techno, like, or industrial techno, I don't think it will be a good fit. I think you will kind of struggle to integrate it. So it doesn't mean that it's true for everyone. Obviously, everyone is different. But just keep that in mind, that it sounds pure, smooth, and beautiful, and that's maybe not what you are after when you create music. You want maybe something dark, rough, edgy, raw. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And yeah, because it's probably the best modern sounding synth, but it's not because it's the best modern sounding synth that is the best solution for you. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video as well. It's because I think it's important to talk about that, about the fact that it's not because a synth is the best or it's sounding super good that it will sound super good in your track and it will be for you. And that's something to be aware of because it can bring frustration. It brought to me a lot of frustration because I was like, okay, this synth is the best, but I cannot even use it in my own production. So just wanted to share my experience. I will personally keep it because, like I said, I will use it to create sample packs. And I think that's it with this video today. I hope you learn a few things. I hope you get a better idea if you think this is really for you or not. And thank you very much for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye bye.